So I am now recording. Welcome to those of us that were able to show up live, and welcome to everybody who gets to watch this later. This month's spotlight is going to be yours truly. That was kind of a last minute decision when the person that I had booked forgot to put it in their calendar. But you know what? That's okay. It's all good because I already had something kind of in mind. Before we dive in, though, today is kind of extra special, and I could have done this, but I didn't have anything prepared. It's my book launch for the expanded second edition today, October 1st. I've been like working on it for months trying to get it all ready. So today is the day it is officially released. So I am going to pop that link into the chat for everyone right now. And then for those of you watching on YouTube, I'll make sure that I put the chat down in the chatty bits. Okay. There is, can you see that book link there in the chat bar? Okay, so there's 19 authors, of which Christine is one of them. She's joining us today, and she actually is one of the authors of the Quantum Journeys Tales of Multidimensional Healing and Discovery book. Yeah. Now, I had put this out in 2023, but this is the newly expanded version. There's over 100 new pages. There's author's notes at the end of every little section. There's some new stories. They're all like client sessions and case studies, real world stuff. 46 sessions, I think, or 47, something like that. Anyway, so to celebrate, I'm doing a little launch giveaway. So it'll be one free full-length Quantum Journeys hypnosis session plus a copy of the book, paperback. So I will put that link in here too. All you got to do is fill that out. And then on October 15th, I will be announcing the winner, and it'll be, I'll send you an email, but I'll also sort of plaster it everywhere so that everybody knows who won that and they can all be jealous of you. No, I'm just kidding. We don't want to promote jealousy, but they'll be happy for you. Yay. So now can you see where there's the book launch giveaway link? Okay, perfect. Moving on, now that the housekeeping has been taken care of. Today, we're talking about something that can make or break your practice: client aftercare and follow-ups. So this is where a lot of hypnotists drop the ball. And it's where you can really shine if you're willing to look beyond just the session itself. Now, here's an interesting thing. Can you think of any other, like, in the healing arts, the alternative healing or even traditional healing industries where somebody intentionally doesn't follow up? Yeah, no. But there are hypno trainers out there teaching their students not to follow up. Yeah. And I didn't believe this for a while. Not that I didn't believe it, but I was like, really? Like that can't be right. Like maybe they misunderstood or something, until I took a class from a trainer in, I'm going to say 2022. And he is one of those people. And he himself doesn't follow up, no aftercare whatsoever. I asked him about this. I didn't tell him my opinions because I didn't want to, I'm not going to out who he is here, but I asked him, like, well, why don't you do that? And he said, well, no news is good news. And if they don't reach out to me, I'm going to assume that means that everything went great. I was like, how can you assume that? I don't think you can assume that. Like maybe they're just shy. Maybe they don't feel comfortable telling you that it didn't go great. Like maybe they feel like you don't care. I didn't say any of this, of course, but I was like, okay, file this away. Anyway, then a few years later, there was somebody in another hypno group on Facebook. I was talking about aftercare and follow-ups, and it turned into a pretty heated, controversial conversation. And I was so surprised. There's a bunch of people still that are being trained and fully believe that if you follow up with a client after their session, that's like you admitting that you don't have the confidence that it worked. I know. And I was like, well, that's weird. It's like almost like the magic will be ruined if you reach out. But hypnosis is not smoke and mirrors. And it's also not dependent on your ego. Like that is 100% ego talking, isn't it? Like, oh, I don't want to hear that it didn't go well, so I'm just not going to reach out and find out. Or if I don't say anything at all, then that means that it must have gone great. Or I don't want them to think that I don't have confidence in it and then ruin it. Like, is it really that fragile? Are our sessions that fragile that just by asking how you're doing, the whole, like, it's like a house of cards is just going to come falling down? It's so ridiculous to me. So I don't know. I'm going to let you guys choose for yourselves, but obviously, like, you can tell my opinion on this because I'm not very shy about it. It's just a bunch of ego-based hogwash, you know? And I think that that way of thinking treats hypnosis as if it is just this like fragile little thing that's completely resting on the shoulders of the hypnotist, when really, who's the main character in your sessions? It's not you. So, to all the buttercups out there that think that it's all about them, I'm sorry, it's not. It's about your clients. Let them be the main character in your sessions. We're not magicians. We're not doing sleight of hand. There's no illusions here. We're working with consciousness. And even though we can't put that in a wheelbarrow, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It is, in fact, very real. And it's not all based on ego, you know? So, with all of that, I would like to share kind of what I do. I find that clients don't just process during the session. All of us have been trained to provide the pre talk, right? What you do before hypnosis and how important that is. I would say that that is just one bookend. You also need to have the aftercare. So you have the whole pre-talk, discovery call, pre-talk, all of that stuff going into the session. And that's going to make or break the session, right? The aftercare is going to make or break what happens after the session. Do they continue to integrate? Do they continue to get better? Do they continue to feel like they are supported and that they're in a safe space with you, right? So you need both bookends to get actual like effective changes and transformations. And the brain and the body continues to rewire for days, weeks, months, even years afterwards, because as they start to notice positive changes and their attention is now on the fact, oh, there's some positive changes, then they're going to start to make more of them. Just like if they notice, if they, when we've had negative self-talk, and then our brain automatically goes to look for proof that the lies that we're telling ourselves are true, right? Well, the same is said in reverse. So if something positive is happening and we're focused on it emotionally, our brain is going to go look for more evidence that that is true. So which one would you rather have? If your brain is going to go look for evidence of something that's true for you, wouldn't you rather it be that you're awesome and amazing? Yeah, I mean, right? Okay. So a gentle check-in just normalizes the shifts that they're already experiencing, and it brings their awareness to it. It gives them space to ask questions, to share their wins, to feel seen and heard and supported. And I believe that this dramatically increases the effectiveness of my own work. And it also deepens their trust in me. I have a lot of repeat clients. When I first started doing this, my biggest fear was that, oh my gosh, if you're only having one session with each client, maybe two or three, but like, then you're just going to have to keep finding new clients all the time. And what I found is that I am finding new clients, but I have a pretty large custom client retention. So I wanted to share with you a little story about a client where Aftercare made all of the difference. They didn't think that it had worked. They were like, I don't feel like I was really in hypnosis. I don't think I really went deep enough for it to work. And I gave them my same little thing that I tell everybody, which is like, depth and level of trance is not going to be indicative of the level of changes and transformations. There is such a thing as conversational hypnosis, where a person doesn't even close their eyes. They're not in any sort of an induced trance state, and yet they still make changes. And so what I'll do is I have a follow-up that is 1 day later, another one 7 days later, then 30 days, then 6 months, and then a year. The one that's 7 days later, and I'm going to just give you a quick peek at it, because this is the one that kind of makes it so it's impossible for them to say, oh, it didn't work. So even if they didn't feel like they were in hypnosis, just saying, hey, I wanted to check in and see how things have been unfolding since our last session. Sometimes the shifts are immediate and obvious. Other times they unfold more subtly or surface in unexpected ways. Either way, your multidimensional consciousness is still working with everything we explored together, letting the pieces land where they are most needed and blossom where they are most nurtured. If you've noticed anything new, had any questions come up, or feel like journaling some of your reflections, I'd love to hear about it. I welcome updates, whether it's a big breakthrough or a quiet change in perspective. You can reply to this email, text, or DM me. In the meantime, be gentle with yourself. Integration is part of the process. And that gives them an opportunity to stop and think, well, what's been different in the last week? Oh, you know what? I didn't get triggered when my husband criticized me. That's different. Or I didn't have anxiety about having to balance my bank account, or, whatever it is. Or I was able to get up in front of those people at the Rotary Club and, say something when I thought that I wouldn't be able to. Little tiny things. And then they start to notice it. Whereas if you didn't come out and actually explicitly say, like, whatever those changes are, whether they're big or small, like, notice them, they might not have stopped to actually notice. And then they wouldn't give the hypnosis session any credit either, right? There's one that I do at one day after as well, and I'll share that with you real quick. I'm not going to give you the word for word document of this because I want you to find your own words, right? But I will say that this is a great use of AI. Just make sure it doesn't sound like AI, it sounds like you. But so let's go to the one day after. This gets them to remember to look for it. So just checking in. Oh, that's the discovery call. Hold on. I'm looking very forward to hearing all about the positive changes that you're noticing since our session. Some of these may be little, some may be big. The surest way to keep them coming is to look for them, keep an eye out for them around every corner, let them surprise you in wonderful ways. I'll check back in again next week. And don't forget, I'm available to support you fully for 30 days after and between sessions. So feel free to reach out via text, DM, or email. And they do. They do. And especially people who are going through something particularly difficult, like recovering from narcissistic abuse or disordered eating, they need in between session support because stuff is changing and it's scary, right? Change is beautiful and wonderful. Even when it's positive, though, it can be very scary. So just knowing that somebody is right there and has your back and can just help you walk through the scariness of it is really, really helpful, Okay. So those, as you saw, were automated. They just come out. And I don't know if you noticed this, but let me just point this out real quick again. There's a little box up here where it says send follow-up after each appointment or only send if the client doesn't have any upcoming appointments. So there are certain follow-ups that I'm not going to have go out after every single appointment because then they're going to get the same email over and over and over and over, right? We don't want that. So there's different ones that will come out depending on whether or not they have a package, which would be only send if the client doesn't have any upcoming ones, or if they don't have a package. Okay. Because I often do like 3-session packages. I held 4 fingers up. I can count, I swear. 3-session packages. Okay. So moving on. So with the day one, basically it's just sort of saying like, hey, we just had our session. You might not have noticed anything yet. So this is just a reminder to keep your eyes out. Like magic is just around the corner. Keep your eyes open. If you're looking for the good stuff, you'll find the good stuff is basically what it's saying. Day 7 is checking in to notice any tiny shifts, big or small, whatever. It doesn't have to be tiny. Some might be big, some might be really big, but some might be like, oh, here's one. I had a client who I was helping with sugar addiction, and I checked in with her a week later. And she wrote back saying, oh my gosh, I didn't even notice until just this moment that I haven't sat down to have any sweets in the evenings all week. It didn't even occur to her that she wasn't. And she didn't notice that she wasn't, which brings us to the apex problem. Who's familiar with the apex problem? No? Christine, you are? Sue, you're not? And I noticed that Lou wrote, follow-up wasn't encouraged with her training either, but she likes to do follow-ups and check-ins before the next appointment. I would say do them in between, and I'm going to give you some very compelling reasons why here in just a bit. If this hasn't been compelling enough, I think I'll have you convinced by the end of the call. She says, my check-ins are usually like, I hope you slept well last night, last week, perhaps fire an anchor from the session as a reminder. Yep. A swearing Care Bear as an anchor for someone. Oh my gosh, I love that. That would be hard to automate, but if you have somebody where it's a very specific thing, that might be just a really nice gesture to refer to that, very specific thing. Anyway, so at 180 days or 6 months after is where I discuss the apex problem. And this is something that is very specific to just hypnosis. It refers to this phenomenon first described by Charles Tebbets, and I learned it from Roy Hunter and Mike Mandel. Roy Hunter got it directly from Charles Tebbets, and I trained with both of them, where a client receives clear, measurable benefits from their hypnosis session, but they either deny or minimize that the hypnosis itself had anything to do with it. Instead, they credit coincidence, willpower, change in circumstances, whatever. It just went away on its own. And it's not that they're not trying to give you credit. It's that they honestly don't realize it. There's a sense of cognitive dissonance. Like the conscious mind doesn't want to admit that something could be so easy that they've been working on so hard for so long. It's almost a little bit insulting when something that they've been like, oh, why can't I take care of this thing or get rid of this thing or release this thing? Why is this plaguing me? And then it's just gone so easily. There's also ego defense. Some people resist acknowledging that outside help could help them because they feel like they've done everything. And that's part of their narrative now. I've tried everything and nothing works. And because that's so much a part of their identity now, they kind of are hesitant to give that up and say, oh, something might have worked, right? And honestly, of course, they want to claim it for themselves. And I'm not going to say don't do that, right? I want them to claim the success as their own. And I get in front of that too, by the way. And then the most common reason why the apex problem happens is just the natural amnesia effects of being in a trance state. It works below the conscious awareness of the client. So they might not even fully recognize what has shifted in them because it's at such a deep level that they're not thinking it. That tiny little, like 10% or less that we think is all of us doesn't notice that the 90% is making changes. And so here's an example from my own life. I had a woman who had 3 sessions with me for weight loss. She was about 80 pounds overweight. She came to me mostly because her doctor said, look, you really need to do something. It's starting to affect your blood pressure. It's starting to affect, your cholesterol, all these other things. Okay. So she had these 3 sessions with me. She's a friend of mine too. And normally if I see a client out on the street, I'm not going to just go up and be like, hey, how was your session? Because they're like anonymity, right? But she's been a long-term friend. So I saw her and she had easily lost like 70 pounds, like easily in 6 months. And I saw her and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so great. I'm so happy to see, that you're looking so healthy and vibrant and that the hypnosis worked. And she said, well, I don't know that it was the hypnosis, Krista. I just started taking better care of myself. I really just started like loving my body and eating better and being more active. And I was like, "Oh, you mean all the things that I hypnotized you to be motivated to do?" And she went, "Huh. Well, maybe it was the hypnosis." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not here to take credit. It's okay. You did all the work, but I just want you to notice that there is a tool in your toolbox now. Don't discount it. If you need help with anything else, it really can be that easy." And so she was like, wow, I'm so glad that you brought that to my attention. And so she did end up hiring me for some other stuff. So with that, I wanted to share my 6-month email. Oh, actually, this one, I think I did it. Well, it's all right. I have it as I'm talking to myself. Sorry. Okay. Hey there, remember me? Can you believe it's already been 6 whole months? I like to check in with clients around this time because something funny and very human tends to happen in the world of hypnosis. It's called the apex problem. I just get in front of it. I just say, like, here it is, right? It's a fancy way of saying hypnosis works so seamlessly at the subconscious level that when you look back at the changes you've made, you might not even give the hypnosis any credit at all. And then I tell the true story that I just told you. And so then after that, I say, and the truth is, it's kind of the point. Like hypnosis should be easier than having to like bare knuckle it through and all the willpower in the world and all that stuff. Like there is a part that the client has to do, of course, too, right? It's a collaborative effort, but it should be easier than everything that they have tried before. And so then I say, so if you've noticed yourself thinking differently, making better choices, letting go of old habits without struggle or much struggle, feeling more yourself than you did before, that's hypnosis at work. Even if it feels like you just decided to do things differently. And make no mistake, you're doing all the work here, but it's at such a deep level that you may not even be consciously aware of it all the time. So I'd love to hear what's shifted for you over the last 6 months, big or small, it all matters. Just hit reply and let me know what you've noticed, with appreciation and a wink at the apex problem. And then I give them, different ways that they can reach out or connect. Also, and I don't know if you noticed this, but in my 30-day one, I also give them the link for a Google review at the base so that they can review, they can put something on Google if they want. It's in the PS. I don't want it to be a big thing, but it's like, hey, if you want to give us a review so we can get, this out to more people, that would be great. And I have a lot of Google reviews from that. And it's not smarmy, it's just like there are some people that are like, oh, you know what? It was really helpful. Thanks so much for, telling me how I can share that. And I'm going to take questions and answers here in a minute, but I feel like when a client senses that they're cared for, that they're seen, that they are the main character, that it's not all about you, that you're actually putting them as, the primary point of focus for your sessions and for the change work, then they naturally want to return because that feels good. And they might not be getting much of that elsewhere in their lives, So you'll get a higher client retention rate if you do the aftercare. They'll feel cared for, they'll feel seen. You're helping them walk a longer road of transformation, and you're getting in front of the few problems that often comes up with hypnotists. One, repeat clients, repeat business, right? Two, not giving the hypnosis any credit. So you're getting in front of both of those things very gently, not in a manipulative fashion, just in a like, hey, if you notice this, or just be aware of this, and make sure that every single automated email has an easy way for them to respond to you, for them to reach back out, or to book another session at the 6 month and the 1 year, and make sure that there's like, if you want to book another. Now, if I have a nightmare client, doesn't happen often, I've only had 3 in all these years, I just disable those for that client by, I change their email address to me. So at 6 months, I will get an email for that client back to me. And I do this on purpose. I do this to remind myself that I need to continue to have really good, healthy boundaries so that I don't pick up nightmare clients. And I give myself a little pat on the back, like, yay, you haven't had any since then. It's kind of like the little thing on the, factory wall that says how many days since the last accident. So I like to remind myself of that. Anyway, so there's a lot of great things about this. I would say, and I haven't run the actual numbers. I tried to this morning, but me and numbers don't get along. But my client retention rate, as far as just like repeat, like somebody who's had a session that then books another session, is easily at 50%. And it's not about the same issue. It'll be about something else altogether. And it might not be even within that year. I'm so surprised sometimes when somebody who I did, a practice session with back in 2020, when I wasn't charging, or I was charging very little and I didn't really know what I was doing. I only had one tool in my tool belt, and it was just regression. And that's all I knew how to do. That they'll come back like 4 years later, 5 years later. And I'm just always like blown away by that. Like, yes, I'd love to help you. Guess what? I have way more tools in my toolbox now. And so I think that's fantastic. So yeah, I definitely always have to kind of keep the marketing machine going as far as getting new clients, but it does take a lot of the pressure off. I don't have to constantly find new clients. As long as I have these follow-ups and the aftercare going, I know that roughly 50% of those clients are going to book again at some point in the future. Oh, and this is a new thing I've had just in the past year. I've had a few clients who have said like, hey, do you have any way to do just like a once a month, like ongoing kind of thing instead of a package? And so I'm actually coming up with that so that it can be at a lower rate and they can just have, every month just to kind of like getting, oh gosh, what is it called when you get your car? What's the word I'm looking for? Tune up. It's like a tune up. Thank you. Like, brain, why aren't you working today? But it's just like getting a tune up. But then if there's anything that comes up that they need help with, like, bam, they know that they've got a session coming up. And so I am working on doing some sort of like an annual subscription thing for those handful of clients that they just love it so much that they want to just do it like every month, just like going to a chiropractor or going to a massage therapist or going to get your pedicure or, whatever, except that it's like, um, self-care for the mind and the body, because at least with quantum journeys hypnosis, there's a lot of energy work in it too. But before I do the questions, I wanted to share some other little apex problems. Um, I've had smokers that have quit that later just, when I say like, oh, how's it going with, I don't say quitting smoking. I say, how's it going with not being a smoker? And then they say, oh, I don't know if it was the hypnosis. I just decided it was really time to give it up. So then I remind them of the apex problem, or a client's chronic pain will reduce. But now here's an interesting thing. It will be gone the day of the session. Sometimes it comes back the next day. And it's kind of like their body is learning the new programming. So I don't know if you've ever had like chiropractic or massage or physical therapy where like you feel pretty good right after, but then the next day you're really sore. It's like that, but for the mind. But then they get better. And so because that second day they don't feel so good, they assume the hypnosis didn't work. And then it gets better. But there is such a thing as it has to be, oh, like here's I don't know why my brain is so fuzzy today. It gets extinguished. That word has something to do with the phrase that is not coming to me. But where something gets a little bit worse before it gets better, extinction something, not extinguished, extinction factor, extinction. Somebody in here knows what I'm talking about. No, okay. Hi, Ranga. So I'm glad that you made it. Extinction point. Thank you. I should have had maybe a cup of coffee before I came on. I just got out of the shower. Extinction point or extinction burst. So it's where something gets worse right before it gets better. But because of that, they'll often forget that the hypnosis had anything to do with it. Or they might even think the hypnosis made it worse. And then they came in and corrected for the bad hypnosis. And that's another reason why you send out these little follow-ups to just sort of get ahead of that and say like, hey, sometimes there can be such a thing as an extinction burst, or here's about the apex problem. Oh, Sue is saying Reiki can do that as well. Yeah, where you get a little bit sore the next day. I have come to just expect that that's going to happen, you know? Um, or people who have lots of anxiety and then it gets better than worse than better. And then if you follow up with them, they might be like, oh, I think I just grew out of it. But if your follow-ups get ahead of that so that they realize like, oh, that's a normal thing for me to think. There's a story that Mike Mandel tells about a woman who was just so absolutely distraught after her dog died, just crying like in such deep grief. And she came to see him and she used up the entire box of tissues, and there was this huge pile of tissues on the little table next to her chair. And at the end of the session, when he asked, on a scale of 0 to 10, like, how bad do you feel? And she was like, it's not that, it's like a 1. I don't even know why I thought I needed hypnosis. She had already gone into the apex problem. And so he pointed to the pile of all of these tissues and he was like, I think that's why. And she was like, oh my gosh, I really must have been in pain. So part of it is also, and it's not intentional. I never assume the client is trying not to give credit. It's like this unconscious thing that happens. But because something is happening at such a deep level, they're not equating it. And because it's easy, they're not equating it with the hypnosis. And so it really can happen that fast. Ranga says homeopathy does that too. So it can be frustrating for the hypnotherapist. And this isn't about our egos either, right? But here's a funny thing. Anybody who has studied hypnosis does know the importance of how you phrase things, the words you use. So if you say to them, whether it's verbally or in an email follow-up or a text message, hey, all those beautiful changes that you're making, I want to make sure that you don't give me all the credit. You need to take that. Now, their subconscious just heard all the credit. So now they're going to be like, oh, I was kind of taking all the credit. Maybe I need to give my hypnotist some of the credit. Just by hearing that, they'll automatically do that. And also using words like when you see the changes, not if, is also really helpful. Or as you see the changes, as you notice, you don't have to say see, but as you notice the changes, as things get a little bit easier, and whatever their particular situation is, if you want to send them a little, yes, Sue, always with the positive, not the negative. It's always credit, not blame, always. And I use all positive framing in a lot of things because I don't even like to necessarily use the word release in my follow-ups because that reminds them of what they released. I like to look to the, like, what's happening in the future, what's happening now and in the future, not what they let go of, you know? So yeah, that's a really important point. Credit, not blame. So just to reinforce the importance, the pre-talk is one bookend and the aftercare is the other. There's so many good reasons for this. We have the fact that it makes them feel seen and heard and cared for and supported. And as they're going through these, especially with quantum journeys hypnosis, which I know not everybody that's going to watch this is quantum journeys, like a lot are just purely clinical, and that's fine. But especially some of the more like esoteric stuff, they're going to be experiencing things that are like, whoa, what was that? I just woke up from a dream where I was speaking in light language to aliens. I think I'd like to talk to somebody about this. Who do I talk to? And it's really nice if they know they can reach out to you. I have a client right now who suddenly started channeling out of nowhere the Galactic Federation. I don't even do that. I'm a little jealous, honestly. Must be Chris's fault. Yes, Sue. But sometimes having these sessions, can crack them open in interesting ways. And it's so good to just know that they're not alone in this, that there is somebody they can talk to instead of feeling like they're crazy or like something's wrong, that you can just be there and like, oh, yeah, that happens. I want to hear more. Tell me all about it. What did the Galactic Federation say? you know? And so those are all good reasons. And then there's also the fact that you get ahead of the problems and then you get the client retention, you get repeat business. So now that I've given you all of the reasons to do aftercare instead of that ridiculous notion that like, oh no, don't follow up because then the whole smoke and mirrors house of cards will fall apart of the fragility of our toolbox. Like, honestly, if anybody thinks that their hypno toolbox is that lacking in effectiveness, like maybe don't do hypnosis. I'm sorry to say, but like if you think it really is all just about your confidence, your ego, and that you can say one little thing and it's all going to fall apart, then I don't think this is the right industry for you. Sorry, taking the band-aid off quick. But if you're willing to step outside of it all being about your ego and you're able to put the client as the main character and have it be all about them and supporting them and giving them that positive, beautiful pre-talk as well as the positive, beautiful aftercare, then this is probably a great career for you. Okay, with that said, what questions do we have? Any questions at all? Christine, it looks like maybe you're about to ask a question. Yes, yes. Do you want me to unmute you? I might be able to. There you go.
Yeah, I'm trying to look for it. I've been writing stuff down. Oh yes, you said when you get a lot of clients coming back wanting extra session, is that after your 3-session package, or is that just
Sometimes,
after? Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's both. So sometimes it'll be if a client just had one single session. I just got an email from somebody yesterday who had a session with me a year ago that I haven't heard from at all. So I thought, even after all the follow-ups, either they went to a spam and he didn't see them, or he doesn't check his email very often, or it was maybe not up to what he was hoping for. I mean, I like it when they give me feedback, even when it wasn't what they were looking for, because then, I can make an offer of some sort to make it right. but he reached out and he wants another session. And here I was thinking all this time, like maybe it just wasn't like his cup of
Yeah.
tea. And then he's like, no, no, I want another one, but it took him a year.
Oh,
So
excellent.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
and I'm always just so when that happens. So that's another reason why if I don't hear back from somebody, uh, I'm not going to assume the best or the worst anymore. I think it'd be very egotistical to assume the best and very wounded
Yeah.
ego to assume the worst.
Yeah.
So I just don't make assumptions anymore. But when I heard from him,
Yeah.
I was like, I would love to have another session.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And then often the ones that have the 3 session packages, those will be the ones that reach out to me like a year later, 6 months to a year later. The ones that have one session, sometimes they'll reach out to me like, 30 days later to have another one. So I had a guy who he was asking me if I could help him improve his golf game. This is not my niche at all. I know nothing about golf, but fortunately, you don't have to. You just have to be able to know your client and what their goals are. And so it did. It helped his golf game. And he was telling me all the ways in which it helped. And it was like speaking another language to me. I was like, oh, that's great. Yay. But then he was going to be going somewhere to play golf and he wanted to learn another language. And he was like, I think he was going to France, Germany. I can't remember now. We haven't had the session yet, but he was asking like, can you help me with picking up another language easier? And I've actually had a few of those sessions. And I was like, yes, I would love to. So it was a completely different thing. Had nothing to do with the original issue. And that's the other thing that I say in my automated emails is I don't say, hey, reach out to me if you have another problem. I say, you want to continue the work of up leveling your life, you know where to find me. Because once they notice like things have been easier, and okay, it's just human nature. They might not have noticed. That's really important. They might not have noticed because if we have our focus set on looking for problems, we're going to keep noticing problems, even though other problems have been resolved. And so just by bringing up like, hey, so here's the things that you wanted to work on. How are those going for you? And they're like, oh my gosh, actually, I don't have I have other problems, but I don't have those problems.
Yeah.
What else?
That's
Did you have a couple
excellent.
of questions that you had written down?
No, no, that was the main one that I was thinking of, because I was thinking, well, after 3 sessions, that's like 3 months of treatment or help or assistance, or whatever way you like to call it. I would have thought that mind you, that I suppose it depends if they book 3 sessions and they're all on the same situation, or maybe they've used one of them for something else. It's still like a 3 month package, isn't it? So I suppose you can cover a lot in that. So I was just wondering if that it came back, if clients
Yeah.
come back on a
And
regular
usually when I
basis. I
do
mean,
a
I
three
have had,
session,
but not,
yeah.
yeah.
Normally when I do a 3 session package, it's not once a month. It's like once every 2 weeks.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So they'll be done with 3 sessions in 2, 4, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So less than 2 months. And very rarely is it all on the same issue. Every once in a while it is. I have a woman that I've been working with for heart issues, and every session we have, things get better for a little while and then they start to get worse again. And so the better and then
Yeah.
worse again. And we just haven't quite cracked the code on like there's some other secondary benefit that neither one of us have been able to quite crack yet. And so she's one of the ones that she's like, you know what? I feel so great for like a week after every session, sometimes longer, that I think I just want to have like ongoing sessions with you, just like as if I would be going to physical therapy. So I found a reduced rate for her and she's just going to do that. And I'm like, hey, that's okay. Like if it's helping to such a degree that even your doctors are like, hey, you should keep doing this because it's helping, right? I'm not going to say no. And it doesn't mean that just because we haven't completely eliminated, that doesn't mean the hypnosis isn't working. It is working, but it's not working in a like one and done kind of way. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
Everybody's different, you know? And I never tell somebody that, oh yeah, I can take care of anything in one session. It's a magic bullet. I was
Oh, no.
trained that way by my
Oh,
first trainer,
oh,
Christine, as you
yes.
well know.
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
also a bunch of ego-based hogwash.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no way.
Yeah.
Uh, More minor issues, maybe so, but certainly not the mainstream stuff
Yeah,
definitely
to
takes
ever
more than
say that
one.
you can cure somebody of anything in one session,
No.
that is so ridiculous. Honestly, yeah, that should, well, I think it is illegal now to use the word cure. It should
It
be
is,
illegal to
yeah.
say the other stuff too, but it's not.
Mm.
Anyway, Ranga says, I will probably want that too. Yeah, I'd love to have you on. I'm working out some sort of a subscription thing. So it's like pretty affordable. And that way, as long as I can count on that income coming in every month, I'm fine with making it less because it's just going to be there, so reach
Mm.
out. He just put that in the little chat box. So any other questions? We're at almost the top of the hour. We got like 15 minutes left. Yeah, Sue.
So the recurring monthly, have you thought about doing that as a group? Because aren't there
Yeah.
common themes that you're thinking about? I mean, you know what Lori Hammond does, right?
The Trancy Tuesdays. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now hers is weekly, which is,
I have a weekly group actually, but it's not hypnosis. It's energy healing and bringing light through our bodies and psychic activation stuff.
oh, all right. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, she does hypnosis
Hmm.
every
I have
week.
actually been in a few of them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And
She's invited
so
me.
I mean if you were now and she specializes in for hypnosis, hypnotists.
Right.
But for clients, I mean, I would think that there are enough recurring themes. Yeah, we all have our specific issues, but there are recurring themes. I don't know. So, because I've been thinking about trying to do some groups.
Right.
So I was wondering if your monthly is a monthly commitment 1-to-1.
So yeah, exactly. And I think
All
I
right.
want to keep it that way because I'm doing this group, which is once a month, that's training, right? Then I have another group that is advanced training specifically for my graduates. And then I have another group that is all like energy healing and global distance healing, and psychic activation, extrasensory perception, channeling, stuff like that. Which is not what I intended it to be, but that's what it's turned into because it just naturally happened that way.
Mm.
So that's enough. I feel like I've got enough group stuff going on.
And are they
Um,
all listed on your website? All of those groups?
the advanced one is not because that's only for graduates of quantum
Right.
energy hypnosis.
Right.
The other one is if you go to the top where the little menu is, it'll say join global healing group.
Okay.
And it's $22 a month. We meet every Monday, and you don't have to come to everyone. Come when it suits you. But there's been some really interesting just activations that have happened as a side effect of that group, which is why I now say psychic activations because that wasn't what I was intending to have happen. But it's
Uh-huh.
happened enough times now that I'm like, okay, I should probably put this as like a warning or a disclaimer or
Yeah.
something. If you don't want this, probably don't come to this group.
Yeah.
Um, and
I mean, I
then,
love the energy healing concept. The psychic stuff, I'm not quite there
and
yet.
it doesn't happen to everyone. It just has
All
happened to
right.
enough people that I put it on there. So what we do focus on is energy healing for ourselves, for our group, and then it kind of like trickles out to everyone in our
Got
lives.
it. Got
And
it.
then we'll do other little like manifestation techniques, but based on real stuff, like actual like frequency of emotion and putting yourself in the position of being able to receive what it is and how you'll know when you're vibrating at that frequency and things like that. Not like, write this down 222 times and turn
You're right.
around under
Right.
the full moon, like not that kind.
Yeah, okay.
Um, so yeah, I think you'd really like it. It's mostly about community is
Yeah,
really what it is.
which is
Yeah.
important.
And then
I
this
wanted to,
group is not on my website because so I have two sides to my business. One is I'm a hypnotherapist, one is I'm a teacher and trainer. And this group doesn't fit either. This group was the first one I ever started, and it was only because, and Christine might remember this, it was only because I kept getting kicked out of a hypnosis forum for asking questions. Little rebellious Aquarius Krista going in there and asking questions and pissing off the powers that be. So I finally was like, well, screw this. I'll create my own damn group and I'm going to invite everybody and I'm going to call it Hypnotherapy Uncensored.
there you go. That's perfect. I
So I
went
still have
to,
it, but like,
yeah,
yeah.
I went to the link to sign up for the session in the book, and the link works. I'm
Mhm.
at Quantum Journeys Hypnosis. Sign up here for a chance, but I can't type. Oh, that's never mind.
Okay. I just put it in there that again
My
because
my keyboard went dead. And at the beginning, I
oh,
was trying to
gotcha,
find,
gotcha.
obviously there's a charger for it, but who the hell knows where it is? So never mind.
Gotta love tech.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully I'll be able to figure it. I'm going to leave it open so that I can get
I think they call that user error.
yeah, operator error. Yeah.
Operator.
OE operator error.
Since
Yeah.
Ranga joined us a little bit after I posted the links, I just posted them again. So there's Ranga, there's the international book link. That's for the paperback, but when you get to Amazon, if you want to get the Kindle version, you can just click to the Kindle. Then what you didn't hear, but you might have seen it on Facebook, is I'm doing a book launch giveaway of a one free full length Quantum Journeys Hypnosis session plus the paperback book. And I'm going to announce the winner on October 15th. So if you're interested in signing up for that, then just click on the book launch giveaway. And then at the very end here, Hypno Uncensored Notes of Appreciation. That's basically if you appreciate these monthly spotlights. They're by myself. And actually, there's now like over 100 of them in our YouTube channel.
Mhm.
So let me go grab that link too here in a second. But that's hundreds of hours of free training from like some of the top names in hypnosis. We've got Richard Nongar, Jason Lynette, Stephanie Conkle, Kaz Riley, um, Lara Cox. I mean, like some of the Bob Burns, like Beryl Komar. There's some really great trainers in there. And not all of them are giving training. Some are giving like their origin story or just business advice or whatever. They're all different. I leave it up to them to share whatever they want. Um, anyway, if you find them helpful, then you can click on that link and give me $2. $2 whole is less than a cup of coffee. It's like a quarter of a cup of coffee. But it just helps to offset the time, the effort, that everything that goes into the back end. Or when you get there, it'll call it notes of appreciation, and that's from Lori Hammond. Sue, she calls payments notes of appreciation, and I love that, especially when it's just two of them. So it's like two little notes of appreciation. So let me go grab the link for the YouTube channel, and I'll pop that in here too. I won't have to put it in the YouTube chatty bits because you'll already be in YouTube by the time you see it. So let me go grab that. Any other questions before we're done? Lou, Ranga, anybody? I have subscribed. Yay. All right. Playlist, spotlights. Here we go. I'm giving you specifically the link to the playlist that is all of the spotlights. There's other stuff on that channel, but this is like that playlist of all the spotlights. So there you go. And it goes back to 2021. June 2021 is when I did the first one. So there's a lot. And there's like a little description. So if there's anything in particular that you're looking for, you can just go into that. I also had briefly little mastermind group calls, but they started to get really argumentative and clickbaity, which could have benefited my business, but gave me a headache. And I didn't want to polarize and have all that icky feeling in my group. So I stopped doing those. But yeah, I put a couple of them in there so people can, if they ever wonder why I don't do them anymore, go watch those. You'll find out. There was one that was really, really good, but there was one that got like I ended up having to block somebody later. It was not good. I probably shouldn't even be saying that publicly, but you know what? Maybe that can be the clickbait right there. Go find out what I'm talking about. All right. I'm so glad that you liked it, Lou. Thanks for coming. And everybody else, hi, Ranga. Hello, hello. It's nice to see your face, your smiling face. And if there's no other questions, we'll just go ahead and wrap it up. And it was great to see you. And we'll have another one. These are always the first Wednesday of, I shouldn't say always, they are mostly the first Wednesday of every month. Every once in a while, somebody drops out or forgets, and I can't step in and do it myself for whatever reason. But they are almost always the first Wednesday of every month.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you're in the Hypnotherapy Uncensored group, then you'll get all of the information. And if you're on my email list and you're a hypnosis professional, then you'll also get an email about it. As
Are
long
the
as I
Monday
continue to be
sessions
organized.
recorded? The
What's
Monday
that?
session, the Monday sessions, is it recorded? Can I watch recordings of previous ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll send you specifically a link to that playlist
Oh,
because that's private. That's
okay.
not for anybody else except for the ones in the Monday healing group,
Okay.
the Consciousness Collective. Yeah, that's the one
Mhm.
that Sue and I were talking about.
Okay.
Yeah. And Christine,
Thank you.
you've been in and out of it a few times too. So that the healing group, the Consciousness Collective. Yeah. I don't really advertise that one much because I don't want it to get too big with people that
Yeah.
like it's better to like let each person's energy kind of come in a little bit and then we all start to,
Mm.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
adding the seasoning to the recipe. I don't want to have like a whole
Yeah,
bunch of
I try and get when I can. Mondays are a funny day for me, so
Oh, that's right.
I
Yeah, I
just come
forgot
when
you
I
had said that.
can.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well,
but
yeah,
I
it's
do
the only
come when
day
I
that I can
can.
do it.
Oh, I know. So I just pop in as and when I can.
Yeah. And that's the way it is. Like sometimes only 4 people will show up. And that's fine.
Yeah.
That's I just figure that's a day that those 4 were meant to. And then another day we might have 20. So I like it that way. Yeah. All right. And Ranga, I will see you next Monday and then I will send you the playlist of the previous ones.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah. All right. Bye. Thank you so much for coming. And I will
Bye.
see some of you very soon and some of you next month. Okay. Bye.
Bye.